What's going on? We're back with another Feature Friday episode, and we got my good friend here, my boss.
You see how everybody laughed at that?
Yeah, no, we got a special guest today. And before we get into it, Season 3 is brought to you by the Supporting Black Canadian Communities Initiative. Shout out to y'all. Season 3 is going to be a great one. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah, thank you so much, BPI. Let's get it. So, Sylvia Parris-Drummond.
2 hours in Paris, please.
There we go.
Double the R. Double the
So maybe just tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. So I want to say something about my family name since we did the little double R thing.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, to my relatives and friends who have only one R, I'm not dissing you, right?
Oh, you can
I'm
talk.
just making
So
it
this
correct.
camera right here, when you want to talk directly to people, that's your camera.
Oh,
So you can talk right to their
Breaks
soul.
that fourth wall.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. But I will just leave that. So my family comes from Mulgrave, Guysborough County, and when we were down there in that small area, besides it being Mulgrave, where exactly we lived was called Meadowbrook Hill, right? So that's where all the Black community that was in Mulgrave at the time pretty much lived. There's a couple downtown.
When you said Mulgrave back when we first met, I always thought it was Mulgrave Park, like down by the bridge.
Oh yeah, I know. A
Halifax.
lot of people thought that, and so I would just be saying that to people, and they start naming people, and I'm like, I don't know who they are. And then I'd name people from my Mulgrave, and they'd say, I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So one day we just figured out we were talking about 2 different places.
Because a lot of Paris is down in the park too. And
Yeah. But I think they're one hours.
Yeah.
Won't bring that up again, but but it was funny because I didn't hear actually people say, I always heard people say Mulgrave Park after that, like after we got it straightened out. So I don't know why there was a time where we were just saying Mulgrave and getting it mixed up.
So is
But
Mulgrave
anyway.
and Mulgrave Park any relation or anything
Any
connected?
connection? No. And I don't know the naming of Mulgrave itself in terms of its origins. It is one of the same as Mulgrave Park is. It is one of the historical Black communities, right? But I don't know where its name came from in terms of the beginning and stuff. So
We'll have to dive in there and do some research. This is
Yeah.
good info for us.
yeah, now you make me curious about it.
Yeah.
Right? I
If
wasn't
you're in the
before.
comments, let us know what you know.
Yeah, do some research.
Yeah, so it's a small community, small number community of folks, and most of us were all related down there. There was probably 3 families, really distinct families, but we're all kinship, right? You know that.
Was
that
it
we were
all
related.
Paris's?
There was, so down home there would have been Ash as a family name, Borden, Paris, and Jackson, and we had Jones family there for a bit, but not necessarily in the beginnings there. So those are kind of the family names and then offshoots of that in terms of the area. So that's where I went to all my levels of school was in Mulgrave. And my father, there was a place outside of Mulgrave called Sandpoint. So that's kind of where his family started. And then I don't know how would it be in terms of travel, because I don't really drive, but maybe 40, 45 minutes come, and then he started raising his family, us.
And your dad's Paris, and he came from Paris's?
Yep. Yeah. And my mom's, her family name was Borden, and she was from the same area as well. So like from Upper Big Tracadie, Rare Monastery, in that area, Lincolnville and stuff. That's where her family area was.
And is it like a pure Black community?
Meadowbrook Hill, not. I'm not sure when we say pure, but I think you're saying just all Black folk
is it all
living
Black?
there.
Yeah, not like
So no, not all Black.
So
folk
like when
there.
you were
we had
growing-
folks who would be like considered immigrants from Germans,
okay.
who were living there as well, and that was probably the main in terms of a different ethnic group that grew up there.
Yeah, that's
in
interesting.
Mulgrave.
I know my white side is German roots too.
Yeah. And what was so, like you said, I love you said the word interesting, because I remember just different things when we were growing up. And one was they would make pasta, and pasta hanging up over a line to dry. With the strips, like the
Like
different
hang on
ones.
a line,
Wait.
like where
Like
you dry your
outside,
clothes?
like on a
clothes.
strip. Yeah. Yeah. Not on the clothesline, on the different one. They had their
Yeah.
own. They had
They
the
had a
pasta
food one
line.
and a clothes one.
Take a couple noodles on your
Yeah,
way.
that's right. Oh, you talk about fresh. Now you know what fresh is, in terms of that. But it kind of fit with where we were growing up because we had, I guess we would call it a hobby farm for our own sustenance. We probably sold a few things, but it's really for us. So we had a farm and we had a family who had an orchard. So we had access to an orchard. And we used to do the things like, the hunting, like we're in the rural area, right?
Yeah.
So we'd snare rabbits and, we would hunt deer. And my older brothers travel a bit, like over to Newfoundland to hunt moose. I guess they hunted over there, something I know. And then we used to do fishing, of course, as well. Like we go, I don't know if you ever heard, you go jigging for cod.
No, I've never heard that.
Jigging for a card.
So you go out in the, the water area that we used to go do it. And so you had to, was like on a string and stuff and you jig cod,
Jig.
right, for that. So
That's
you
like
called it.
when you got
Yeah,
caught.
I mean-
that's when you're jigging. Like,
Yeah, right. And that's like you just had a little stick onto it called like that. So that's just for the kids doing it, right? If I don't know what they do when they do it professional to get more than that stuff in it. But what else? And somebody was talking the other day, and I don't know where Daddy got these, but eels. They used to get eels as well. And I don't know if you ever had the joy of cooking eels.
Never had it before.
Nope. So you
But
fry
that's-
them.
Yeah.
And so when you like clean it and take off the heads and everything, the way the nerves are, it still moves around. So you're cooking it in the frying pan, but it's moving around.
Oh,
So-
wow. So you grew
a
up
little
really
bit.
rural. You were
Yeah.
hunting, fishing, and cooking the
Cooking
stuff.
eels, chasing
skilling
eels.
it. That's cool.
Stir
Wow.
frying eels
Yeah.
too.
So you
Right,
said
we were
like
country girl.
there was black folks and German folks.
Mhm.
Was there a sense of like community within like the blacks and the white folks?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, totally community. We would, be in each other's houses. Older children would take care of the younger children. We went to school together. Yeah, it was really, it probably like if people know places in terms of being in Cape Breton, they would probably kind of have the same kind of feeling of this idea about, because you're growing up all your life together.
Mm-hmm.
So all you know is that being there for each other, right? In terms of stuff. And so there's still, like I said, it's a much smaller place now, and there's still some family there, but like our homestead is not there anymore. Once we started moving mostly to go to school and go to work, and then we didn't like kind of keep that place for long into generations. We had it for a while, but then it was like you were moving on, working in life, and we didn't maintain it. But you can still, go down and be with folk, right?
There's still like
Visit.
family back
There's
there. You still got family.
there's still folks. There's not our family fully, although I still have in Guysborough County family, but not right on
But
Meadowbrook
like
Hill.
family, like friend, like
Yeah.
stuff like
Friends
that.
and kids, yeah.
So
for
the
sure.
people you grew up with, in terms of like thinking about elementary, junior high, high school, what was that like population wise? Was it like mixture of black and white? Was it like how was school life?
It was school was predominantly for white. When people talk about being the only one in the class, well, we would kind of have that as brothers and sisters going through right in it. So the school was all in one, like so went up to grade 12, so from primary to grade 12. And so you'd have, you'd see your siblings and stuff around. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But you didn't have people in the classroom with you particularly, and say with some of the friends that were there from the neighborhood too. So sometimes there might be a couple of us in class, but they were always small numbers. Yeah, always small numbers.
I find a lot of folks that have like rural experience. They say like there's no other black folks, and they talk about it being like a bad experience. But what I'm getting from you is like you had like community and the you guys were togetherness, not like isolation.
Well, we had community where we were living for sure, and it's really interesting what you remember at the moment when you're there, what you think back on as you go through time, and then what you reflect on as you grow and get older. And I'm saying all that because we don't realize, I think, how much time we spend on coping until we start to get to the space where we don't have to do that to survive, right? And that. So the way that kind of different expectations that were on you or jokes that weren't really jokes, right? Or the expectations in the classroom, but also the expectations for what you could do in terms of a career. They were like in reflecting, like they were problems. And like at some point, like in senior high, you kind of got to learn a little bit more about that. But when you're in kind of right in that moment, like I said, you don't realize how much you're surviving by coping, because it's just it's inherent, it's in your nature, and it's really more in looking back. And sometimes, who wants to remember what you went through, what you survived? You want to celebrate that you survived and thriving, hopefully, and stay in that space and not kind of go back to revisit some of those things, right, that you experienced.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective to have, because that's how I look at a lot of the stuff I went through. Is what you're saying is looking at the positive and like dropping the negative experiences or what you made it through versus dwelling on it and holding on to it.
A question, just reflecting, because I feel like, and I like speaking to my dad and family as well in different generations, like the groundedness of being in nature that you were speaking about earlier with the fishing, the hunting. Have you been able to kind of like carry those values and experiences throughout your life when you moved, or how did you navigate that?
Yeah. I mean, not so much here now when we've been living in Halifax for quite a while, right? Yeah, that's right. In the country area though. But when I moved from Mulgrave, I moved because I was starting university, right? And my youngest sister, who was living with me, was starting high school. So we moved to Antigonish. I went to St. X. We moved to Antigonish. And so there was still some kind of more of that we all experienced. Certainly not to the same level, for sure. And then also too, like there was parts of that were, again, they were nice, they were great, but they were also about surviving, right? And I was talking to someone recently about like how we have now, things where people are very excited about making bread and doing all the kind of preparing things from the basics and stuff. And so that's great. And I think, it's important. It's important now. It's important to know where your food comes and kind of how to do it. And it's important in terms of, it's saves you money and all those things. But we were doing those because we had to.
Survival.
Right? You had to. Like we was, used to get up. We were a family, like a traditional family, I'll say it that way. So the boys had chores and the girls had chores kind of. And so like making the biscuits before we went off to school at certain times, like making the bread, getting the bread, get the bread rising, get up early, get that rising, right? Put it above the heat where the stove is so it rises. Those were like things you had to do, but they gave you a long day. Right? They gave you a good long day. And we also like had a home. We had our well was gravity fed from a spring. So you'd have to go up sometimes and clean that spring out, make sure there wasn't leaves or everything in it before you headed off to school. So we're doing the sustenance stuff now that in some ways is, I don't know if fluffy is the right word, but it's, it's kind of like trendy to do or something. Whereas acknowledge like that there was folks, and probably folks still today, who have to do that kind of thing, which doesn't put it into, it's not a good thing, not a bad thing, but it puts into some perspective of reality, right? When you kind of, it's almost comparable to like, don't co-opt somebody else's experience, right? To create it into yours and that. So when we came to Antigonish, like I said, we were doing some of that. My time in terms of when I left Mulgrave and I came to Antigonish to go to school, like going to university like was not like that's just what I want to do like right away. Going to university was part of a commitment to my parents, to my mom, that I would go to school. But I was thinking, I'm just going to go to university. I'm going to get it all done. And then, I'm going to go on, with my family life, get married, have kids, kind of whatever. That was, in my thought. And I wouldn't have gone directly to university. My thing was also, I wanted to go to Toronto. Everybody had gone to Toronto, all the family, lots of my family, I should say, and like friends and stuff. Like Toronto was this place, but that wasn't available for me by choice because, like I said, it went to a university right away. when I left Mulgrave, my dad had passed away when I was in grade 9, and my mom passed away when I was in grade 11.
Oh, damn.
And so we had my baby sister and myself. I had older brothers and stuff too, but I was in the kind of the right age in terms of moving on and to have her come with me. So that's what we did. We made the choice.
When you were saying you had to take up your sister, she was in high school, you were in university.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the commitment to your mom,
like that,
she was the one that pushed you to, what are you doing after high school?
Mm-hmm. My mom had always, we had, at one point, I guess, was kind of like you have a choice. And I don't know if it was common across at the time, but people were like leaving school at grade 9 to go work, or because you could get something to do. And so her ask of us was to go to school, like to go to university, or she may even said community college too, but or if not, like just go to work, but you weren't going to be staying home or those things, right? Hanging around there.
Was this something that she said during the process of her passing, or
no? This was before that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This was like kind of the values piece that she would have passed on to us in terms of
instilling the importance of education.
Education for folks. So anyway, so I had done always done pretty well in school, right? And it didn't seem like I had to work that hard, but I think I did because I always did homework and things like that. But when I got to university, it was like a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so of course I needed student loans, like all those things, right, to be able to stay there. And I couldn't live on residence because we had to get a place where we could be together. So I had a friend that I shared an apartment with. And
your sister lived with you guys?
And my sister, yeah.
And she went to high school around that area?
She went to high school right in Antigonish, itself. So I remember, so my final degree, I'm going to say this so I can feel proud for it. So in the end, when I graduated from St. FX, I had a Bachelor of Science, and I had my teaching degree, and I had a professional program, which was home economics, right? So, that it was like 4 years and then summer courses and things like that, right, to get. But I remember my first year, I made a 51, 52 in science on chemistry. I was devastated. I was just like, what? What do you mean? Right. And it was so fortunate. I had Dr. Brumberry, actually. I had a very good professor who, I think had the right balance of, I know you've got responsibilities. I know you're working hard, but I also know that you can do this. Mm-hmm. Right? And so with help, probably with even help that I wasn't necessarily aware of either, because I heard some stories after at St. FX about people were kind of watching over us, or my sister and myself, when I say us, but me at the university. But anyway, so I was like, that is not happening again.
So you took sciences?
Yeah. So my to get to do the professional program of home economics, you needed chemistry, organic chemistry, biology.
Yeah,
over here.
Right. I'm like a PTSD response. Organic chemistry. Oh my goodness! It was interesting though, but it was
so
tough.
Interesting. But I had to take take tutoring.
Yeah.
I had to take the tutorials that they did in the morning at 8:00. I thought, what?
Yeah.
But anyway, it was but that's what you needed to get to the program. And then it was, I don't know if these things are available now, but you could squish your things in. Sometimes then you're not allowed now to take a course, so many, whatever they make you take it. But anyway, it worked out for me in terms of that time. And I had an offer of a teaching job before I even finished.
Oh, wow.
Right.
You said you did your sciences and then you had education. Was that all in one degree?
That was all in the 4 years over there, right? Mm-hmm. So you didn't I didn't finish all the science degree in that way, and then have to take another a couple of years or something, I could do like courses
At the same time. That's why you said
That's
summers
cool.
and you crammed them
Yeah,
in.
and
That's pretty
and
cool
stuff,
because
whatever.
nowadays it's like you get your bachelor degree, then you get your education,
Or
right?
major minor. Yeah, and then
Mhm.
there's all of it. Yeah, it gets complicated.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So you spoke to your educational journey. If you can shout out the X ring real quick.
Oh
for the kids.
gosh,
Yeah,
yeah,
represent
there it is.
that.
Where am I showing
Yes,
it?
the X-women, the
Okay.
X-men,
Mhm.
the X.
Yeah, all the time. And actually, the other ring here on my small finger is the home economics ring, professional ring. So we have a professional ring. Lots of people do, I guess. Engineers like have professional rings. So it was like that in ours, and it's all smoothed down now. But it had the facets, like so it had like little ridges. So it had the facets of things that you're committed in terms of ethics to deliver and to focus on.
So when you were in St. FX in university, was there a lot of other Black folks in St. FX with you that you were able to congregate with or connect with that maybe you're still cool with today?
Yeah, there were a few of us, at St. FX too, but the number was definitely smaller. And the folks, they're not here. They went out again. They went to Ontario or out to Toronto.
They love Toronto.
Yeah, they love Toronto. Yeah, well,
Every
well, I guess
generation
in
has their Toronto.
right? Yeah, and because in Toronto, right, there's a little gathering that is Scotia, right, in terms of place as well. So people tend to go there and to land there, but no, not really, and not in the programs that I was in as well. My connections in terms of Black community connection were more just generally in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like I said, I have family to go back home and visit, like down Guysborough and all that, stuff, and to go with, and then to come. I also have some family in Halifax at the time, so I would kind of come up here. But I felt like it was all like there was always something to be doing there in terms of school or work. Like I worked a lot of different jobs, and went to school.
Like after school? Or?
No, while I was still in that, just to pay the
What are some of your
bills,
favorite jobs that you had back in them days?
One of the jobs that I had was working in a dry goods store. And what I liked about that was that I, learned the skills about, finance and sales, business. And so it connected kind of with my home economics degree because it was a textile major that it concentrated in. And so that's what it sold. It sold like fabrics. It sold, anything that was kind of in a range of things like that we call dry goods, even like some food in the area and stuff like that.
Yeah, because
So
when
it
you
was,
said dry goods, I'm trying to think, what is a dry good?
Yeah.
Like what's...
So it's more that kind of range of stuff. It's a mixture of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked in food services at the university, like forget the name of the company, what that was in St. FX at the time, but
like the cafeteria type stuff, or
yeah. But they they're always a particular company,
different
right?
brands,
that owns
yeah,
it.
different companies.
But that gave you a chance to meet people, like to socialize and stuff, right? And then you also have your meals there as well.
And you talked about how when you were finishing school, you already had a job for teaching available. Tell us about that experience.
When I had the opportunity to go back and teach in Mulgrave, where I went to school, which was quite interesting. Right, because the teachers that taught me were still there, right?
Full circle.
And that, right? So you go like, they want you to call them by their first name, and I'm just like, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah, once you're used to it, it's like,
right?
yeah.
Just you can't do that. But anyway, yeah. So I went back there and I taught for, I guess maybe 7 years, 8 years.
Oh wow! Did you?
And then I went to teach in another part of Guysborough County.
So was it like university, and then right after university teaching, or did you do any student teaching at all, or anything like that?
Oh yeah, well part of the course, I did the student teaching practicum and all that, right? Part of the study.
Was that back at your school in?
It was actually places in Antigonish, so it was where I was doing the study.
Okay,
right. It wasn't. Yeah, that's a good question. No, it wasn't down at my home school.
Yeah, because I remember being in school with the student teachers coming in.
Yeah.
It was a cool experience.
Yeah, and we were, I think, yeah. So I think it was like I was traveling together because I don't drive, right? So I was traveling with folks to go to work there, and then it's a small rural area, so often you need to kind of switch around.
Mm-hmm.
So then the last years of my career teaching in that area were in Guysborough. And they had an elementary school in that area and a high school and junior high. And I taught the junior high and senior high.
So you always taught junior high and senior high?
Yeah.
Senior high is high school?
Yeah, senior high, no, it's like, so like the 10 to 12.
Okay.
And then the junior high, because I know some places now have middle school and stuff, but junior high was 7 to 9.
Mm-hmm. So you taught from university for 9 years, 8 or 9 years,
So
and then
when I left university, I went into school teaching, and I finished kind of my active teaching career, if I say it that way, in 94, 95. And then I came to Halifax to work in government, in education.
Was there any like experiences or things that you've went through with being a teacher for that amount of time that you could probably give advice to someone else that's trying to pursue that same career?
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the training part of it, or the actually
The
in the
actually you
classroom
teaching actually?
Yeah.
And is there any like principles or things that you follow? Because I know
Yeah.
there's some teachers that they can command the students, and then there's some teachers the kids is just wilding. So is there any advice that you'd give to like a teacher out there that's either just getting into it or they've been in it for a while and like, hey, you should try to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about, that far back and like in seriousness in coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I went to teach in Mulgrave, remember I was starting at a familiar place, right? So I had good support from folks that were there in terms of like mentors and things like that to follow. But I think you come prepared. I'll say that too. Like so. But also, like, just keep high expectations for everyone, right? So then you treat them in a way that really engages them, that you know that they can do it, right? Because they can. You just need to find out a way to help them to do it if there's any struggle. So that I think is really important. If you can be involved with the school and with the students in kind of social ways, like if you can coach a team, have a committee. It just again, it shows that relationships are so important. And in saying that, don't jump right into teaching Science Plus. Get to know everyone first. Like it's worth taking those couple of weeks in September, maybe even a little bit more, to let the kids get to know you and you get to know them. And say, don't personalize like what doesn't feel right for you. If you feel like like it's. Because kids are also growing and maturing at the time. So don't kind of like, if there's something going on, I don't think it's just against you or it's about you or something, and that it's development.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, I'm looking around, you can't see me looking around trying to think, because I also kind of want to remember it correctly.
Yeah.
Right? It's easy, I think, to be away and have kind of a, either a romantic remembering of it or something like that. But I've had the fortune of running, not running into physically, but meeting up with students that I had taught, and they're really have been really generous in telling me about things that meant something to them, in positive that meant something to them. And it just makes me affirm as well, is like what we say is important. And so like you can come someday and you didn't have the best day. Like I lived in Antigonish, and I lived in Antigonish. Every place I worked, I had to travel to, right? So I'm up early, getting the kids settled with childcare, and then getting on the road and all that stuff. So some days like you just may not feel 100%, but you got to try to come 100% in there, because that's what they deserve.
Yeah.
Or say, in which I have had the chance to say, I am not like this morning started out like not great at all. My babysitter is sick, and now I'm trying to find childcare for whatever so I can get here, right? And just share that with not in the way that, just so you know each other, real people.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're all
I think
real
that's
people,
important, because you touched on like not personalizing what the youth might be going through, and I think that's important, because I know a lot of friends that they're teachers and they'll tell me like the kids hate me or whatever, and it's like, it's what they're going through. They're growing,
Mhm.
like you were saying, and I feel like
Mhm.
a lot of people got to realize, in not just as a teacher, but in life,
I agree.
is like stop taking everything so personal
Mhm.
because when you don't take it personal, you live so much lighter and you're more joyous
Mhm.
versus like you take it personal and then you're like, then you let that eat at you and then now you become that mean person or whatever if someone's
Yeah.
mean to you, you know?
And
Yeah.
like be in relationships, like get to know people, let people get to know you. You know, give, like sometimes people can give, but they can't receive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So give and receive, like let people into your life, and you know, in terms of the sharing type thing. And there is some things that people, you know, are going to say or to do that is maybe not in your value range, or that you don't like it, but try to like focus on yourself and being the best you can be,
Mhm.
because that's really all you have any say over anyway at the end, right? Just try to be the best that you can be. And I feel like I had very, very good experiences of all this where I was in teaching, not perfect, no bump experiences. Okay. Don't hear it that way at all. But they were really good experiences in terms of growth and like learning and, like I said, was rural area back in early ages,
Mhm.
back in time. But so there was lots of things. There was things that, so you heard the degrees that I have, right? So I didn't have, for example, a degree in English literature or history, whatever, something like that. But sometimes, you know, you had to step in for somebody or do things like that. So we can figure that out. Like we could look things up or ask somebody else who does it to help you, right? So just come in each experience to do the best you can, right?
Yeah.
I think you'll find this a bit humorous. I had spent a time where I ended up teaching computers.
Mm.
Mm-hmm,
Memoir.
mm-hmm, yep. And
What's
a
the
little
Memoir.
bit of computer programming.
And you were teaching it for
And
real?
I was teaching it for real,
Wow.
right?
That must have been when like they had the very first Apple computer.
That is when they had the big things where, you know, where you punch them. You had to punch cards and stuff.
Okay.
You
don't know what that is.
Know that. That's a history
She
look,
probably don't
ain't
know
it?
what a
No.
floppy disk
Yeah.
is.
Oh no, I heard, yeah, floppy disk.
Okay, so
I
good.
heard
It was a
about
floppy,
this.
Yeah, I heard
I never
about
floppy
seen
disk
one.
time. But I would do my homework and prep and study and work with folks, and that's the other thing that I think is important in terms of teaching is let people's brilliance show,
Mhm.
right? So there's folks that was they could be like very helpful in terms of doing that. I mean, when you did your courses at work, of course I knew I was coming to teach it, so I took a course. I took training in terms of how to do it. But there's things that when you have when you're really strong into it, then you can also probably grow a passion in it.
Mhm.
So I felt confident and competent in terms of whatever I've taught. But I'm sure there's some things because it was something else that I could kind of go beyond, and that in it that it could spark a passion in someone, right? And if you think about doing that, that's what you want to do. You expose students to things as well. Like you could have, when you do your field trips or when you do different thing, like trying to think different things to do. Like we would take field trips and take students to see, to see a movie, and the movie that you could talk about issues and things. So you keep thinking, what is going to give people potential or allow them to kind of awaken something in them that they may not have even known that they have, whatever, right? But a wide breadth of exposure to things is important as well.
Well, you talk a lot about believing in them initially so that they can see it in themselves is similar. I feel like a genuine teacher, they inspire it by like, okay, I believe in you and I know you can do more. And it pushes the youth, And it doesn't have to be a youth. It could be your peer. It could be someone that's even older than you. But I feel like believing in each other is crucial. And you touch on that a lot with your experience.
Yeah, and just trying to be like present and not holding responsibility for what you do and what you deliver, but not holding accountability for everything, because also in doing that, you can take the gift of somebody coming in for leadership away from them, right? And that if you don't, like, you can like let people try things. Our role is to be there to support, to give some other ideas, to share our expertise, but create the safe space for people to kind of try things and see what their success limits are for them at a particular time.
And also going off of you mentioning like sparking passions in the youth that you were teaching, was there a particular like experience or moment? I know you mentioned your mother had mentioned about like pursuing post-secondary for you, but becoming a teacher, was that something that like you had a particular individual that like inspired you to take that path and get that spark and passion for that path?
Not necessarily that way. In some ways, it feels like I was, they say that God has a path for you and a plan. And I feel like that must have been in play because there was really circumstances, or not even circumstances, but just by chance almost and stuff where things landed. I went to I explained why I went to St. Avex. I went into the programs that I went into actually in connection with friends that were going there. One friend I thought she was going to go there. She told me she was all ready and everything, and then she didn't end up coming. Anyway, but so
like
things like that, right? Things like that got me in these places, and then it's like, again, it's reflecting back that there was something in that journey that was meant to be, right? And during my time, there, I was able, like I said, still be with community. Like we did just like family visits and stuff, but we also had like our programs that were, volunteer stuff that we did that got a chance to be supporting with community, be involved in community. So it was not really until I was like going on to next levels of study that I was starting to really hone in what I wanted to do and was more focused about it. And then like that was kind of a growing passion for me. And I've also been fortunate to have, women in the community, aunties, whatever, also kind of be able to encourage me along the way. And it was, but that, like I said, it was more like now you're on a career or growth track. And then it was more intentional. Yeah.
So you talked about university and then your career as a teacher. And then what's the next thing after that career? Because you say you worked at government. And what does that look like to get to where you are now?
Yeah, and like what prompted that shift too? Because you would have moved to Halifax of a city for those roles. So yeah, that's a good question.
So like when you're in teaching, whatever, right, and in the school board, and you get opportunities to try different things. So I had tried some different things alongside teaching. I was always teaching when I was there, but what was it called? There was an initiative called Brighter Futures. So it was Brighter Futures. It was a government, program initiative or something. And it was an opportunity for me to think about programming in the school at the kind of district level. And so I worked with programming for grades 4, 5, and 6. So it was like the Brighter Futures, grow your potential, to see kind of where it was like you do like trips with the kids, you do professional development and things with them. And I just thought that was really energizing. I thought that is so great. And we're getting, younger, and people are having a chance to see what possibilities are. So that, and then I started doing more studying around curriculum, like the development of curriculum and working curriculum. And I thought, this is a place to be. Curriculum is what's going to make the difference for the kids in my communities who like weren't seeing themselves and weren't, I guess I need some more water.
Take your time.
Who knew that talking was hard?
Take your time.
Yeah. And so this idea about having a space to create programs and projects that could be responsive and proactive. And then alongside of the importance of the curriculum, because the teachers in the schools and principals and stuff, they were delivering the curriculum that was developed at the province. So that's where I needed to go. That's where I wanted to go. So I applied a few times to get when opportunities came up, and I guess I had said, I can't remember. During Black History Month, African Heritage Month now, you get interviewed or something, right, and stuff for things in the school. The kids are doing things. So I discovered again, like was brought back to memory. Maybe I should say that I had said that my goal was to be working in the province, in the Department of Education. But I hadn't really remembered it like kind of that way. But I just thought this is a place where I'm going to go and have real impact. So I came in, as I said, 95. I think around there was when I started work.
Manifested it.
Yeah, I guess so, right? But I hadn't even really thought about it that way. And when I got here a couple of years in, I realized it was not totally the joy or the impact that I thought it would be, right? And so I needed, for a moment, I needed a bit of a mind shift, right? And that I'm staying here, I'm continuing here, and now I'm working more on policy than I am on like curriculum writing and stuff in terms of trying to influence it and what the content is. So I kind of came at it from that perspective, from policy work. And again, opportunities came to get me kind of in what seemed like the right place in the end for doing that work. But yeah, it was, like I said, it was a choice. And then also being at the province, you can have a reach and a touch across the province, right, with all the schools. Like, so I was, moving from trying to be working with folks in one board to, at that time, there were school boards, to what the number of boards that existed across the province at that time. And and so there was a lot of growth there to learn, because you learn to manage your expectations around pace and time, to the point that you can start to feel like now, okay, you have to keep a long-term view or a future view, but also now what am I going to do in the closer moments or the smaller moments to have an impact and to do some things. So my role had policy work, and my role had professional development work with educators across the province. And so I kind of got to see the picture of impact in a different way than what I expected when I came here for the job.
Did you have like mentors or people that were like advising you or giving you advice on, like, say you're a teacher, you wanted to get into the government? Was there anyone saying like, oh, this is what you have to do if you want to do the thing that you want to do? And then once you got there, was it like, okay, this isn't giving the impact that I initially thought, but now I have to learn and navigate this area?
Yeah, so there was, there's people that they set you up or pair you up with, kind of like to do type things. But to me, like I was, trying to follow what I was seeing some people doing, and like, so like, a Robert Upshaw, like who was leading, Brad Barton, Belinda Day. Like I didn't necessarily know these folks to the degree that I was fortunate to know them along the journey, but I was seeing them and watching what they were doing, and they, Black educators with Robert, like that's kind of the connection that came into there.
Shout out Mr. Upshaw. He was my vice principal when I was in high school at Coharbor High.
Yeah, I mean, like, and like I said, so you don't even necessarily have to be talking to these folks to be influenced by them, right? And so you see that passion, you see how they moved on along the line and changed things, and then I also had opportunity to learn more about my family myself. So there was 15 in my family. And my dad was married twice, right? And so some of the older siblings, because of the distance in ages, I think I was telling someone this the other day. At one point when we were younger in age, when I was younger in age, they were like just like more like adults, right? It was only like as we grew to be, I grew to be older. And then it was more like siblings and, that relationship. But So I say that to say that I also had to kind of learn like what was going on in their lives. So actually, my older sisters, she taught, right? She had taught in Sunnyvale in Guysborough County, and I didn't know that till later in life, right? So if you go back and think about what influenced your career, maybe that was there, but it wasn't fully in front of me to see. But that was that was something that was there. Maybe like, I don't know, in your background or something that you didn't necessarily know about in terms of that. So then hearing that story and knowing that story about her, it had that kind of, it probably had an influence that you didn't know about, right? And then of course I too was trying to be supportive with my sister and with my own children. You also encountered the school system stuff in a different way, right? So you have this interesting thing about being a parent and a surrogate type parent as well, and then being a teacher in the system, and it's like it's interesting navigating it to figure out kind of what that is, and not ever losing your focus on your primary role. I mean, my primary role was mother. My primary role was big sister, right? And that always had to take it. So I had, and this is a reflection, comment the way I'm saying it too. I had rich experiences to bring into the system, and to bring at my level around policy work, and around giving advice and collaboration for folks in terms of the curriculum work, which again is like, it's like pull back a little bit and see that picture. You don't necessarily see it when you're right there in it and doing it. But so when we use this phrase lived experiences from people, I think, I hope that we understand the depth about what that means, right? Because we've lived these journeys. We can ask ourselves, in our locus of control, what are we doing with that lived experience journey to make change, to have an impact, right? So like I said, so you come into those things now and you see those experiences. And then when you're setting up policy tables or you're setting a curriculum, you've got that strong voice case for something when you do it. So the work, in government, so I finished, I had the chance to work at municipal government for a while and to work at the community college for a while. So I've had in and out of experiences while I was working at government to go and try different things. So I would encourage folks to do that as well. If you have opportunities to experience different things, it has an impact upon what you see, what you can do, so it can grow that. But also, like, when you come back, you look at something maybe in a bit of a different way or a different lens. And plus you've had a chance to have an opportunity to influence where you were for that bit of time.
So it's like having your career and then looking out at other things and then trying them and then maybe coming back to where you started and be like looking at it in a different lens. Yeah.
And a number of times people come looking for you, like they offer you an opportunity. And sometimes it's hard sometimes you may not see what they see.
Yeah.
And then also sometimes they're maybe seeing it one way and you're seeing it another way when you actually land in these places, right? But still I would say, like, don't let an opportunity pass you by, or don't, or if you want to go for something, don't say no. Let someone else say no to you. Yeah. Like, don't count yourself out. Like, go for it, right?
I feel that, what you just said, because I feel like working in community, I never really, before like 25, I never really saw myself as a community guy. But then when I started working in community, I started realizing how connected to community I was. And then when I got my first job, I think I was like probably 26, 27, working with Ceasefire. And then evolution to working with Rodney, working with DBDLI. And that's what we're going to get to next. And then now I'm working with the government.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like everything that I did kind of accumulated to me to get to these opportunities. And yeah, I got that job, just so you know.
Yes, sir. Oh my gosh. Why you said it on the podcast? Like, I'm gassed.
Remember the last episode? I was like, I had the interview. So now this episode, I got it. So
now you put me in this predicament. I'm jumping my chair. Proud of you, though. Proud of you.
Yeah.
So then,
congratulations for that.
Working there, because I work with DBDLI. So we haven't really touched much on that, but accumulating for your whole career within education, and now you run an Afrocentric education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, I feel like I just kind of want to like loop back for a moment and think again about how, you know, the experiences of growing and growing in this case, even like to know more deeply my siblings that, you know, that I didn't know that, you know, I had to grow in years to know them, to get to know them more deeply, right? And to be able to talk to people about things. So I don't, again, if people would still have an experience, but, you know, if you know the kind of ranking of age in our family, right? So like in the same way that, you know, for us in terms of tradition, who you can ask questions to, what you can say, like where you can kind of be the one, you know, taking up the space in the conversation in the place, it has its boundary based on your age and
like
and all those type of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. In terms of that, so anyway, so that was part of I think what kind of delayed the getting to know everyone a little more deeply. But when I had mentioned about my sister Rita Borden, being a teacher, I think that I probably like kind of felt that even in terms of the relationships that you kind of didn't know, because in terms of the respect that she garnered wherever she was, and then, you know, of course my nieces, who, you know, in a large family, your nieces and nephews are also like your age, close to your age and stuff like that, right? And that's, so you go through this phase in time where you're like, kind of like, oh no, they're all my cousins. And then it's like, actually, no. Right? But anyway, you know, meeting in any way that you were, you know, close in connecting and sharing stuff. So I think like those things and the importance of family and relationship, and, you know, the more that spreads out, like the importance of extended family, and then people like would be coming home with all kinds of friends, and the place was always busy and always things are going on. I think now too that all those things were informing to me and important to me now in terms of being with Delmore Buddy Day, with DBDLI, right? That like community and relationships are important, and they've always been for us in terms of family. We're Catholic, which is, you know, was common. Trying to think who was, I don't think there's anybody that was Baptist. On Meadowbrook Hill we were going, I think we were like the families were Catholic in that one. But in terms of that faith, and so that also tells you how you're supposed to behave and interact, right? As well as kind of knowing. So I think all of those kind of inside the way of you being, I guess that's what I'm trying to think out loud about, was there. And then in terms of kind of deliberate things that actually got me situated to be able to apply for the CEO and be successful, was I had taken the master's in Afrocentricity. So I had that. I had just taken like different courses along the way around culturally relevant pedagogy, ways of assessing in terms of learners with difficulties. Like all of those things were like, gave you kind of a package of stuff that I could talk about in the interview, and that I could plan to bring into the work that I do now with the organization.
Yeah, so maybe tell us about DBDLI. What is DBDLI?
So DBDLI is, I would say, still a grassroots engaged nonprofit organization that focuses on two kind of pillars of what we need to have happen for our communities, which is research and education, right? And they kind of flow in and out of each other. Like your research informs what you do in education. Your education tells you what you need to kind of continue to work on in terms of we need to develop more things and ask more questions. The model that we do the research is connected wouldn't necessarily say that it flows from, but it's definitely respectful of the model that was used with the Black Learners Advisory Committee. So participatory action research, right? And so that means that the community voices has to be predominant in terms of when it enters, how it gets respected all the way through, and then at the end of whatever that looks like of something, we need to go back and confirm what we've done. So participatory action research, we're more intentional now about talking about Afrocentricity and a value that we're really embracing now, Ubuntu, in our work, and talking about like, so how's that showing up? How are we doing that? What does that look like? And for so many things that are about relationships and connections, I tell you, when the world is smooth, they're great. But when there's a bump, that is when you really get to test yourself about how you're into those values. And sometimes we have to, I can speak for myself, sometimes I have to try to hold on to grace, because I would say to others, I want to give you grace in this moment. So I have to try to give myself grace as well, because you're still learning and growing, and you're continuously going to be needing to try to be better and better, at this, what we do.
So for folks that might not know, Delmore Buddy Daye Learning Institute, that's what the DBDLI is. It's an Afrocentric Learning Institute, and this is the CEO in front of us. And I just wanted to let folks know so they know what DBDLI stands for. And DBDLI, Delmore Buddy Daye, would you want to touch on who he was?
Yeah, so Delmore Buddy Daye is the organization's namesake. And he is our namesake because of all that he did with community and for community that actually got us to this place of having the Institute, of having being able to have a physical building location. So his work in the community was as a community engagement person, I guess. And it was an athlete. He's since passed on, but he was an athlete, and he was instrumental in the establishment of the Black Learners Advisory Committee. And it's the Black Learners Advisory Committee. I think we're recommendation number 3, are we? Out of that report, of those 46 recommendations. Some are about particular things, and some are about the process of doing those things in terms of those recommendations. But he holds that value for us in terms of community. He had the confidence of both community and government, so he was listened to well. And he knew folks in the community who could hold up the leadership in that Black Learners Advisory Committee. And so he convinced some folks that necessarily didn't see, because people had experience with working with government and different things, and it was not positive, right, for them. And so there was some convincing that he had to do to say to people, no, this is our chance. This is going to be for us, by us, about us, really, like in terms of that. So people that were on that committee, and that committee, not necessarily in all the people, but as a structure, transitioned from the Black Learners Advisory Committee into the Council to CASE, the Council on African Canadian Education that exists today.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because they were doing the conference last year. And
in September, we did a symposium.
And there's so many people that I know that I learned about, like Mr. Upshaw, all these names and faces that I'm like, I know this person. And it's to me, it took me back in time to where it's like the Black academics, they all were connected and they're all
the groundwork.
Yes, it's like
foundational.
you're just so much stuff, folks that may be watching this, and even me a year ago, it's there's so much stuff that goes on behind closed doors that are happening for us, by us, that help us get ahead versus just thinking about I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for the programs like that Rocky Jones, with the TYP, with all this stuff. If I didn't have an education, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So it is crucial. So with the Black, so that's the Black report, right? That's what a lot of folks talk about.
Right. Yeah.
So it's BLAC.
Black Learners Advisory Committee. And people, to your point around the community and people behind the scenes, there's some things that I think that it's worth saying that we need to want to get back to in a deeper way.
Mm-hmm.
And one is, traveling across the province and being in the communities with people in the community.
Yeah.
Right?
I find like you have to be in community, you have to collaborate, you have to work together.
Support.
And I find like from my perspective, looking like being in not-for-profits and being in community is like, I find with a lot of the funding and stuff going out there, it's so much so like the European way of like divide and conquer. And I find like the way that they got folks set up is like, oh, we can't work together because we trying to get the same funding they trying to get. And then we can't collaborate because if we collaborate, then we're going to lose out on it. I don't know if that's true, but that's how I see things sometimes. Is that like from your perspective?
Well, I mean, I think, because I think we're caught in systemic issues, right? And the way that structures are and when people go for grants, you have to like shine, right? If you're going to get a grant and whether it's 7,000 or 100,000, like you're going to work hard for it and that. And so you're pushed into this space or trapped in this space where the model like that you try to do when we talk about we work as a collective, when you try to talk about other folks or other organizations and such, whoever you're going for money for wants to know, what are you going to do? So you get narrowed in, right? In terms of, being able to do those things. And there is, so I should, as I say this, I don't swim really, but like I like to think about like there's kind of lanes that you're in, but like swim lanes because they can kind of merge a bit and cross over to each other. Yeah. But you can still have your boundaries about like what you're strong at, what you're good at. And so therefore the collaboration is able to happen. And I think, we talk about in the Afrocentric worldview that collaboration, communal work is so important, right? And when we try to talk about those values, we also want to talk about, like I was saying again, like how do they show up, right? And so when we're intentional about, how we work with teachers to work with students in the classrooms about, a grouping together, for example, to do a project. When you're intentional in terms of that is the best way for Black learners to learn, it is not just saying, we do group work, but what do you understand about that group work that brings the values of not still being competitive individually in that group work? That you have a way for success to be because of Ubuntu, right? That your success is because I am successful only if you're successful. And so we're not cheating when we share our information. We're strengthening ourselves as a collective.
I agree.
And so you think about that model, because what we carry from our younger time through years, we want to see show up in our workspaces and stuff. So we can't like just not do this here and not do that there, right? Or say, oh, we didn't do that in school, so it's not going to show up. Now we have to like come in and try to do what we say is important, what we know is good, what we know is about our rooted values, wherever we have the space and the opportunity to do it. And at Delmore Buddy Day, I mean, that's what we keep trying to do. Like, so we ask ourselves these curiosity questions. So this is a potential that we could do. Why would we do that? How does it impact community? How do we get more in community? If community, sometimes people probably hear like it sounds not mysterious, but like so kind of distant. Community is people. Like government is people. So when we talk about it, the government should do this. We are the people in government. So
I agree with the same, because people always tell me like, oh, the government this, the government that. Like, that people work at the government, and that we are the people. Yeah, it's not no mysterious person that's
like a persona.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we can, if we want change, we can make change. We just have to actively do the work. And work together. So
having just taken grandkids to see the Wizard of Oz, there's not a wizard beyond the curtains. And that. So, but anyway, I mean, so I just think that those things are so important, and if we have opportunities to hear what people are saying, and have each one of us be able to listen well and talk respectfully to each other. We just have so much. We just have so much richness in our communities, right? And we cannot let ourselves get distracted by things that are in systems and structures that weren't built for us or are pushing back against us, right? And in recognizing that, that to me, that's just also the pureness of it. It's recognizing it. It's not saying, so therefore I can't do this or therefore I can't do that. No, it's just like, this is the space. What is it that we can do together to address it? What is it that I can do as an individual? Like just have a vision, have a place that you're kind of holding on to. And if it's not today, you've been working at it, but if it's not today, then it's tomorrow.
With the African proverb, it's like, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together.
Go together, yeah. Yeah, that's true. 102. I love the tree, right? When is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When is the next best time to plant it? Right now.
Right now. Yeah, we're planting trees right now.
Yeah. Right now.
That's a quote right there.
Is so Ubuntu, you touched on it twice. What's Ubuntu?
Yeah. So Ubuntu, somewhat like Afrocentricity, I'll say, is a way of being, which it makes it difficult to capture in terms of a definition, right? So you keep kind of working at it and struggling at it, and it just kind of grows more and more. And I need a good metaphor to kind of help me through that one in terms of explaining. So feel free to throw one in if you all have one. But it's about humanity. So the value of humanity, understanding that our humanities are entwined, and valuing that the success, as I've said before, my success is your success and your success is my success.
Yeah.
And you hear, when you read about it and you hear people talk about it, they say things that if one is hungry, then
we're all hungry.
We're all like, we all have an accountability for that, because we can't have one hungry, right? And so if we keep thinking kind of like that in that way, that collectiveness grows and that communal grows. And then there's probably things that we can think about doing that will emerge for us to do that would not have come before if we had not kept to that value, right? Like, how do I, even with like needing to think about what is success, like, we can ask that as well, right? But if this idea about however it's defined, we want to because if I want to make sure you're both successful and you want to make sure I'm successful, we're goal. It is gold, right?
Yeah. We gotta keep guiding each other in the right direction.
Yeah, that's it, because we're there for each other. So it's got to be. So we just need to keep working on that. It's not, if it was real easy, it would have been done by now. So obviously we know there's something that needs to do, but we need to stay the course of working on that. And so the growth that I'm hoping to see happen, or I'm hoping that's showing up in terms of DBDLI, is, I hope, fed from the impacts that we have and the transformation that we have, right? And that, because we always want to keep being there and being better and doing better. And so what, someone might say, I saw that or I did that, it was really good. Like, part of the question about saying, what can we do better, is what can we do better that will have a wider reach, a deeper impact? Like, those are kind of the dangling parts that we don't say out loud. So it doesn't mean we shouldn't celebrate the success. We should do that. But we shouldn't rest in that moment, right? We should be always kind of thinking and going where we can, deeper and broader.
These are great. Like, I'm stuck for words. I think this is a beautiful conversation. And definitely like the Ubuntu, and seeing that value and that way of being manifest through the work with DBDLI. And it also sounds like that's a value that you've carried throughout your lifetime as well. So
yeah, no, and the challenge, the opportunity, I think, with some of these ideas and ways of being, is that you, like, sometimes you can't talk about it, right? Because then if you talk about it, you've almost negated it. I don't know if I can make that sound better, because you're giving me kind of like, what are you talking about? Look,
I'm getting what you're saying, because like when you talk about it, then it makes it less of a, like, okay. So as I say, for us in work, we talk about distributed leadership, right? And that the idea of Ubuntu, like, of being successful. But we still have a structure. So we have a CEO and we have directors and we have managers, whatever. So we have this thing that's a structure,
and we're trying to figure out how do we model out appropriately. I think my success and your success is less challenging, if I say it that way, to kind of get to. But this distributed leadership model where we all kind of, Dr. Casey Monroe Anderson is doing some work with us around Ubuntu and living Ubuntu. And we had an activity which was like where you tossed a yarn and everybody held onto their pieces, right? And so you hold that taunt, and so you're all kind of needed to be supportive. One goes, then there's a piece, right? That's missing, that's fallen. And so I say that to say, in terms of this way about we stand in that space, in that circle, and we hold that kind of accountability. When we are in what we're talking about in terms of structures of going for grants, or someone who takes accountability and such, if we do something and we've done the best that we can to help people be successful in it, and it doesn't come out the way that we want it, then in terms of the structure, it has to be my role that holds accountability for that, right? And in that end, and so there's this balance of understanding in the context of where we are, what we do in the programs and how we do programming. We have to understand that, like, there's hierarchy, there's leadership, and so that is there in terms of an existence. But how do we keep working to say, like, we can flow, in and out of that in terms of being leaders, having a leadership voice, having different levels of accountability in the structure. Like, you can't, we can't get grants, we can't submit grants without me signing, because your positional leader needs to.
But it's like
sign
folks
it.
have to take initiative, and I find like working with DBDLI, a lot of the leadership gives the directors or whoever else is within there autonomy. I feel like that's what you were alluding to.
Yeah, yes, right. And so you do all that, and I might ask you a few kind of what hopefully are useful questions for discerning the strength of something. And then I don't even necessarily have to know the fullness of it. I'm fine with signing, right? In that one, because I put that trust over to you, and hopefully I've supported you so that you can get to that one, or we've supported each other, right, in terms of that way maybe to get there. But if I can't come back and say blah 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 blah, why'd you do that, right? Because that's what I'm encouraging, and like we like to have growth and innovation. It has to be out there, like it has to be different voices in it. Otherwise, we're in an echo chamber, just hearing the same things. Right, from someone else. So yeah.
So we wound down. We didn't get to dive so much into the work that you're currently doing. But is there anything that you want to touch on before we head out to our one word checkout? Because I know you know what that is. Because you've watched episodes. We got folks on here that be pretending like they be watching episodes and they don't even know what one word checkout is.
Watch they 10 minutes.
It's one word for no matter what.
I had a question as well. Because also reading your bio, just to kind of tie into the work that you're doing with SV Paris Consulting. And how that's going.
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, that is, it started like, I think, the way so many businesses do, I think, for a lot of us. It started with because there was a passion place I wanted to work, and it didn't fit in quote unquote day job. And then there was a part where I took some time away from work, and I just focused on that. It was just a couple of years. And I just focused on doing that. And so for me, that's a place for me to be engaged with community, with Black women, particularly in terms of the work, to think about doing things which are some ways showing up a little bit now, but that weren't before, like creative ways to do strategic planning, the ways to be with community, the ways to kind of value voices. And now as I go into my PhD study, I want it to be a place where I can do the development around Black women's leadership in a way that takes me back into funny. I've never said the word Sankofa yet, so I'll say it now just to get it out there. It takes me back in terms of revisiting where we know our roots are in the continent. And my focus is to look at Black women's leadership, not in a non-North American context. So what would we look like if we hadn't been interrupted and we were really doing things from that womanism, Black feminism, like kind of perspective. So that's what I'm doing now with the work out of S3E4 Paris Consulting.
So is there anything we didn't touch on that you might want to touch on before we go to our one word?
I just want to emphasize the importance of the Institute, Delmore Daye, not just because Delmore Daye Institute, but the importance of the philosophy in the work that is happening out of there for community. So I'm looking forward in our next phase because we're growing. And we're growing in ways that are enhancing our collaborations and our partnerships. We want to have different physical locations and presence across the province. And that, to me, is like kind of this new phase, next steps that I'm looking forward to collaborating with new leadership. So I just also want to acknowledge that we have, we're going to be hiring, and we're hiring a director of Afrocentric education and lifelong learning. So in terms of the structure, we're also going to be looking to hire admin support related to the e-learning platform that we have. So we're growing like that kind of capacity wise. We're holding on to our values. So we're doing these things together. We're doing collective. So we've been trying to reach the community, let them know that particularly the director position is coming.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that that's been out around and, significant enough so that people will show interest in it.
Yeah. So is there like maybe a 10-second elevator pitch that you can tell the folks what that position entails and who you guys might be looking for as a candidate?
Yeah. So we're looking for someone for the director of Afrocentric education, lifelong learning, who has a passion for community, who brings academic expertise, who brings the longing to see our community advance, and always sees a strengths from our community. No deficit language, please. And who is open for a challenge, right? In a really kind of positive way. And you'll get to work with an amazing staff team.
There you go. That was blessed. See, I like that.
Yeah.
You get to work with us.
Beautiful.
So
my closing word?
Yeah, so that touch
That's
on,
good.
we're good, we're good? Boom.
You
like maybe tell the audience what the
one word
is and
checkout.
stuff.
I mean, y'all should know that by now. Tune in, watch a couple episodes before, but the one word checkout, pun intended, one North End, and one word to describe maybe how this episode made you feel, how you're feeling today, and just to kind of describe why you chose that word and why it's significant to you.
So I'm still holding on to transformed because I feel like I just felt more open along the way in the conversation. So I feel like there was a transformation that happened, and that's, to me, to transform spaces that we are all in together is important.
I love it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that too, to create spaces like that. My word is going to be roots. The reason I chose roots is Sankofa, like you mentioned later on, but also just when I thought about when you were speaking to like policy and like going from a teacher to policy, I was thinking of like tree and the roots, but kind of rather than the curriculum and stuff that's kind of outside, like get into the root of the systems and the problems to make a change to the leaves at the end of it. So
Double entendre.
Yeah, double entendre. Little French. And also roots as well from the communities that you're from and kind of bringing those values into other spaces too. So.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So mine would be journey. I feel like you touched on like your journey and how it kind of went for full circle of like the things that you want to accomplish in terms of pursuing education and then becoming a teacher and then wanting to enact more change and then now being the CEO of Afrocentric Learning Institute. I think that journey, it just showcases that like we're all on a journey. Like we're gonna be the folks coming after you, like in the next stages of like when we're getting up there. So it's like who knows where we're gonna go. And I feel like your journey, my journey, your journey, it's all like stepping stones to where you want to go, and you just got to keep going. And like lift while you're lifting, and my success is your success.
I
Your
love
success
that.
is my success. I really like that, what you were saying with Ubuntu. So journey is my word.
Nice.
Me, we.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for sitting with us for this episode. You brought a lot of great insights and a lot of inspirational words. Y'all already know what to do. Go like, comment, subscribe, follow, share, comment your one word checkout. Did I miss anything, Trev?
We're here. Subscribe. Check out our past episodes. Check out our current episodes, and check out our next episode, because this is our next episode. But there's gonna be another one after this. So you might be watching this after this already came out, and there's already other ones out.
See you at every episode this year, and we'll see y'all at the next one. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to our Feature Friday podcast. And just wanted to make sure that you guys are connected on all platforms. So wherever you're tuning in, maybe even leave us a 5-star review.
If you're watching on YouTube, hit like and subscribe.
And on our social medias as well, you can follow us at ANS Lab or at African Nova Scotian Youth Lab as well on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got the whole mumble jumble. It'll be in our link tree in our bio.
Don't forget to enter our contest that we have in each episode.
And the way to enter that contest will be sprinkled throughout our episodes, so make sure that you're listening and paying attention.
Each episode may be different, but comment below wherever you are.
And if you don't use social media and you're one of those people, you can even reach out to us by email at anslab@onenorthend.com.
The details are in the episode description.
And last but not least, we want to make sure that we get you guys connected to our resource, our network of resources, the Grapevine newsletters. So to get subscribed, you can check the link in our bio and subscribe yourself. But if you're not that tech savvy, you can also email us at anslab@onenorthend.com and we can get you hooked up.
We'll see you on the next episode.
See you next month.
Let's get it.
Feature Friday. Friday.
What's your favorite thing about Fridays?
That's a good question.
The features.